Hello RPG fans and welcome back to the kingdom. This is the next video in the series from a challenge run perspective where I review games that I've played and or done challenge runs of to determine if this game is challenge run worthy. For some challenge run examples, please check the description below for challenge runs that I have done. The categories that I'll be going over in this video include the platform that I am doing the review on, game difficulty settings, which includes actual game difficulty settings as well as the overall game's balance, game mechanics, which includes combat and non-combat, customization options, which includes menuing, variety of challenges, which includes types of challenge runs and boss fights / special encounters, and last but not least, replayability. And we will see if this game is challenge run approved, reviewing Final Fantasy V Pixel Remastered from a challenge runner's perspective. With the recent patch that came out on January 30th, 2024, this brings the PC version, which I'm doing the review on, up to current standards across all platforms in terms of everything being exactly the same. There's now no longer any additional benefits that the Nintendo Switch has that the PC doesn't. All of the boost options are now available in the configuration options, so this category gets a natural +1. Moving on to the game difficulty options, all of the Final Fantasy Pixel Remastered games do not have difficulty options. However, I do still feel that it is pretty important to have this particular category in here because as a challenge runner, the game difficulty is really important to try and make things as difficult as possible or certain restrictions. I do feel like it is pretty beneficial to have a detractor, even though I know it's not going to receive a point for this, because I think this helps better balance if a game is challenge run worthy or not. If this option was replaced with something else, then it might get an additional +1 point, and then before you know it, every single game might be challenge run worthy when it really shouldn't be. The second part of the game difficulty options is the game balance. Final Fantasy V Pixel Remastered is one of the most balanced games I have ever experienced in Final Fantasy, unlike Final Fantasy II, which was a complete disaster. The fact that you can still get stuck on a boss even with having 4 people in your party is a really good thing. It means that the game's not going to be a complete breeze. You might have to redefine what your character's jobs are. You might have to level up just a tad bit more to outstat the problem. It is extremely well balanced. So overall, in the game difficulty options for this review, it gets 1 of 2 points. Next up, we will go over game mechanics, subsection combat. Combat is quite the category to go over, and if any of you have ever played Final Fantasy V, you already know that combat is going to get a +1, but let's go over all the reasons why. The massive amount of classes that you can have in this game and mix match what you want or have RNG choose them for you gives you a massive variety of different play styles to proceed through the game. There's over 20 different classes in the game that you can unlock. And with each of the classes, they can give you single target damage, multi-target damage, physical damage, elemental damage. You can have certain abilities in combat like steal. You can use a enemy's magic against them with a blue mage. The possibilities are so vast. Not quite endless because there's only a certain number of classes, but I think you get the idea. The amount of people that you can have in your party for combat, you could choose to do a solo character, maybe 2 characters or 3, or just have an entire full party. You get to really choose how many people you want in your party for combat and proceed with the game. But for the challenge run that I did personally, I only did 1 character and it was a blast. It was also extremely hard. So with combat getting a +1, let's go over non-combat. There are shops in town that you can choose to use or not use, like weapon shops, armor shops, item shops, and of course, if you decide not to use them, that is going to make the game just that much more difficult because you'll have to rely on chests. You can grind mobs and try and get a drop from them, like potions, high potions, phoenix downs, etc. But that would also start to increase your level the more you grind. But with the boost options added in the Pixel Remastered version for PC now, you do have the ability to possibly turn encounters off if you wanted, to where you can just rely on the chests. It's entirely up to you. But for the non-combat game mechanics, for what this game is, the shops really are a big power spike if you choose to use them. So I do believe that the game mechanics section does get a +1 from me on this. The second part of the game difficulty options is the game balance. Final Fantasy V Pixel Remastered is one of the most balanced games I have ever experienced in Final Fantasy, unlike Final Fantasy II, which was a complete disaster. The fact that you can still get stuck on a boss even with having 4 people in your party is a really good thing. It means that the game's not going to be a complete breeze. You might have to redefine what your character's jobs are. You might have to level up just a tad bit more to outstat the problem. It is extremely well balanced. So overall, in the game difficulty options for this review, it gets 1 of 2 points. And so the game mechanics section gets 2 out of 2 points. And moving right along in the customization options, subsection menuing. So I am looking for one more subsection to add in this, or maybe just make this a possible of 1 points instead of 2 after reordering some things around. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. I'm always up for suggestions. But for menuing for this portion, there's several options that are available for Final Fantasy V to go over to increase or decrease the difficulty. And one of them is, of course, the equipment. Now, the equipment is dictated by the type of class that you are on what you can equip. So for example, my class is currently a ranger and I can equip a bow or daggers. Now, different types of bows do different types of abilities, so it also depends on what kind of weapon you want to use, determined on the boss fight or random encounter you are trying to beat. You've got headgear, body, left hand as well, and accessories. Accessories are pretty important in this game. You can choose just not to have any. That would probably be really difficult, if not impossible, while doing a solo character throughout this game. But you know, the choice and options are always there. And then we have the jobs, where you can change your jobs to like one of 20 something classes. You have the formation. You can put everyone in the front row or the back row. That could also be part of your rule set. It was for mine. And then last but not least, the abilities that you can choose. So whatever your main job is, you are stuck with at least one command. However, your abilities can be any other ability that you have learned through other classes, and changes into how you want the combat to flow and what you can equip to try and beat said encounter. So customization options does get a 2 out of 2 from me. The next category is always a fun one to review, the variety of challenges, which has 2 possible points. The types of challenge runs from a viewer and runner's perspective, as well as boss fights / special encounters. So starting off with types of challenge runs. Final Fantasy V is kind of one of those games to where you can really do random everything and try and see if you can beat the game with one party member or 4 party members. You can have everyone with the same class. You can randomize the classes. There is so many options available for this kind of game just because of how much variety you have in your classes. So from a runner's perspective, this game is amazing. And I'm sure from a viewer's perspective as well, it's really awesome to see all these different types of ideas from all these different types of challenge runners proceeding through the game this way or that way, or maybe trying to just watch someone do a solo run compared to a 4-job fiesta. There's always options available out there. And so this particular category gets 1 point. And moving on to boss fights and special encounters. This game does lack in terms of special encounters, but the opposite is also a fact for boss fights. The boss fights in this game is really where the walls can happen and really determine if a challenge run is completable or not based on the said rules that are in place. For my experiences, the boss fights are without a doubt the hardest part of this entire game. It's really made me rethink my strategies or simply just trying to level up. The boss fights are really well tuned, I think, especially for trying to do a solo character playthrough. They're not complete pushovers. So this category also gets +1 from me. And so let's do some math. 1 + 1 is 2, and that's how many points we can have for this category. And our last category is replayability, which I feel needs absolutely zero explanation. Let's just go ahead and give it the point. So with everything added up, we get a 9 out of 10. And this game is challenge run approved. Thank you all so much for taking the time out of your day to watch this video, and please let me know what you think of this video in the comments. I strive to do challenge runs that no one else has done for a game. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and leave a comment. Additionally, if you want to go above and beyond that, consider joining my Patreon or YouTube channel's membership with the join option next to my name below the video. And until then, I will catch you in the next review. Bye bye.